Kang made his feature film debut in Quantumania, but moviegoers were left underwhelmed. Why? This is Exasperated Nerd Explains. Spoilers for the first season of Loki, Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, and Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. Kang has two primary problems in Quantumania: his motivation and threat level. Even at the heights of critic and audience approval, there has been a consensus that the MCU produces mostly lackluster villains. The only exceptions to this are Loki and Thanos. That is because both of these characters had clear motivations, and you can understand where they are coming from, even if you don't agree with the whole killing people method. Thanos' plan to eliminate half the life in the universe to keep from running out of resources is ridiculous when really examined in a reality that contains magic, wish-granting stones, but you can kind of say, well, he is trying to do this to help preserve life in the universe. We never actually saw suffering on that scale from lack of resources like he claimed, but it's a simple concept to understand, an argument people have made in real life about overpopulation. And this made people talk about his motivations. The Kang in Quantumania could have been that too, but they didn't focus on the right aspects. His motivation is actually the same as the first Kang variant introduced in Loki, often referred to as He Who Remains. This Kang saw the chaos, strife, and potential destruction of everything Kangs brought, but won against those other Kangs and worked to keep multiversal order by pruning divergent timelines, preventing the creation of a multiverse and other Kangs to oppose him. His death led to a flourishing multiverse filled with Kangs that are all vying for control and manipulating timelines. The Kang appearing in Quantumania was exiled and defeated by a council or stadium full of Kangs working cooperatively, and he had a similar goal to He Who Remains. In a brief scene that feels unimportant but should be very key to the character and his motivation, he mentions that the other Kangs are running wild, manipulating time and crossing multiverses, leading to incursions. Incursions were first brought up in Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness and occur when the fabric between multiverses is weakened by multiversal travel and leads to the complete destruction of both universes. Kang says that these other Kangs are creating these dangerous incursions, but the importance is lost on the audience since the scene does not really explain his exact motivation or convey this to the audience. He never outright says, but vaguely implies that if other Kangs remain unchecked, it can lead to the complete destruction of not just one universe, but all universes. But he never comes out and says it. Maybe they're saving that reveal for further down the line, but it is clearly where they are going with the overarching MCU storyline. It's even hinted at a little bit in the final monologue Scott has when he is thinking to himself that the Kang they defeated warned of what was to come if he was stopped, a similar thing that was said by He Who Remains. This Kang could have explained his motivation with a utilitarian and pragmatic argument that if he does not conquer and defeat these other universes and their production of Kangs specifically, all life everywhere will cease. He will be killing who knows how many people in doing so, but if he does not, literally everyone will die. And sure, you can tear down this argument like you could the others and say, oh, why does he get to choose the reality to save, etc. But at least you have a clear reasoning behind his choices beyond enjoying killing and conquering, so they really missed an opportunity there. The other problem is the threat he poses. Now, I have mixed feelings because one of the good things about the first two Ant-Man movies is that they were smaller scale and not universe-ending threats. So I had misgivings of Kang appearing in Ant-Man at all, but if you have Kang show up, he should be a universe-ending Avengers-level threat. After the Avengers are essentially in limbo or disbanded after Endgame, you need a big threat to bring them back together, and so far, Kang falls flat. We see brief glimpses of his memories of blasting people. hear about how he's killed multiple Avengers, and see him blast a few rebels at the film's climax, but he doesn't really live up to the threat he should pose. At the end, his suit is broken, and they are desperately trying to keep him from escaping the quantum realm, but it wouldn't have mattered anyways, because Ant-Man and eventually the Wasp just physically beat him up and throw him into something that maybe kills him. Even if he had escaped without time to reconstruct his suit or an army, he would just be a regular guy that they could still beat up, or they could have shoved a bunch of shrinking discs on him and sent him back to the quantum realm. It felt like there weren't any real stakes. And his army of robots that he spent years creating and was intending to use to conquer the multiverse were beaten by a small group of rebels and an army of ants. If he had escaped, couldn't a similar size army come together and beat him too, like in Endgame? It did not seem that difficult. For all the talk about how powerful he was, and how powerful he did legitimately seem when he first captured Scott and Cassie, by the end of the movie, he no longer felt intimidating. Kang needed to win here in some capacity. Someone needed to die, or the rebellion against him needed to fail, forcing them to narrowly escape the quantum realm defeated, leaving its inhabitants doomed under his thumb, or at least leave one of them behind to continue to struggle against him, but no, he was simply beaten. I'm also not convinced that this Kang is dead. He was distinctive in his motivations and had a clear purpose in opposition to the other Kangs, so it would be strange that they had the scene, as downplayed as it was, explaining his reason for going against other Kangs if he does not come back in some capacity. There are rumors that he's going to keep showing up in other movies before Avengers, but if he shows up and is beaten every time, he's going to feel like a joke by the time Avengers is released. And that brings us to the Council of Kangs in the mid-credit scene. There were clearly versions of Kang as Rama Tut, Immortus, and maybe the Scarlet Centurion as the three primary Kangs with speaking roles, and I assume we are supposed to think, oh no, if it was that tough to beat one Kang, what if they fought 1,000 Kangs? But that never works that way. Clearly, if the Avengers do fight this group of Kangs, it will follow the law of inverse ninja strength, where if one Kang appears on screen and faces them, he will be super powerful, but if 20 are on screen, they are essentially faceless cannon fodder, no better than a Chitauri warrior or a grunt in Thanos' army. In reality, if they treated every Kang as equally powerful, yes, the Kangs would win in a heartbeat, but if there is a giant fight with the Avengers against a group of Kangs, many will be quickly beaten in the battle, offering little to no resistance. Even if they do kill a few Avengers along the way, they are messing with time after all, so I'm sure many will die. And then the last in-credit sequence, we see another Kang, and Loki acts frightened, but we still have not earned that reaction from what we saw in the movie. From all we have seen, there's no reason to view him that way. They keep telling us how awesome he is, but he hasn't really shown it. And that is why many people think the use of Kang fell rather flat in this movie, and the movie overall, and honestly jeopardizes the MCU a bit going forward since they are all in on Kang over the next two phases of their films. But what do you think? Do you disagree with my assessment of Kang? Did you find him compelling and interesting, or did you think he came off as threatening? Let me know in the comments below. Please be sure to subscribe to the channel, like the video, and share it with others. Thanks for watching. Bye.